Alright everybody, welcome along to Your Physique Radio. This is episode number 5. It's June the 26th, 2012. My name is Colin Kennedy and I'm joined on the line as always by Craig Clifford. Craig, we have a really good show lined up again this week. Last week with our interview of the week with Massoum Butt went excellent, with great feedback from the fans. We've got none other than Ian Chambers, who was Massoum's diet coach and advisor for the last 7 or 8 years, who helped Massoum get to the IFBB Toronto Pro Show 3 weeks ago, and I'm really looking forward to this one. Ian is a good guy, Massoum's a good guy, and it's nice to learn about the inner circle of some of these bodybuilders that we watch on stage.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's been a great week, and our iTunes listenership has gone way up, which is great. That's a lot of thanks to Massoum, who was a fantastic interview. Anyone who's heard it will understand, and hopefully we'll have another good interview coming up for you guys tonight. So what's on the agenda for this week, Colin?
This week we're going to be covering Hartford, Connecticut. We do have a competitor list. It's on next Saturday night. And we're also going to go through the results from the NABBA Worlds, which were held in Dublin just gone last weekend. So we do have a full lineup for that. So if you're there, if you're competing, you will hear your name called out if you're in the top 6. So let's hope that you did well. Sorry, Craig, you have a list of the competitors there for the Hartford, Connecticut show. Why don't you give us a rundown and give us some thoughts on the competitors who are competing?
Well, guys, I know we've got 14 competitors, and eventually we got the list, which took a bit of getting, but 7 days before the actual show, they released it. I absolutely don't know why we kind of discussed this last week, Colin. It's beyond me. But look, I'll give a rundown of who we got anyway. So, number 1 of the 14, we have Baitola Abbaspour, and he's actually from Iran, and he goes by the name of Balto. So, Balto Abbaspour. He competed this year already in Germany in FIBO, and he came 4th. So that was respectable enough placing. He looks pretty good. Seen some pictures of him today. Mark Antonek from Florida. He got 8th place in 2010 in the show champions in this show actually. But he's very big. But just from pictures I've seen of him, I think he probably might need some conditioning. Gregory Italian, another big guy, just competed a few weeks ago. Mohammed Ali Banout, which is Mo Banout as he's known, fantastic shape, probably going to be dangerous in this lineup. He's from Lebanon. We have Jamal Ahmed El Madwe from Kuwait. Couldn't find anything on him, so good luck to this guy. We have Adolphus Cherry, known as AV Cherry from California, another guy who'll do very well in this lineup, and he's also doing the Chicago show, the Wings of Strength show, in 2 weeks' time. Whereas we got Ronaldo Gairi, I hope that I pronounced his name right, he's from Canada. I think he's making his debut. To me, just some pictures I've seen when he got his pro card, he looks narrow, he's in great condition, but he looks a bit like if he's standing at the side, he doesn't look very thick. Maybe he's growing since, I don't know, but that's the pictures I could see. Henny Kotze from South Africa, he's making his debut as well this weekend, as far as I know, and he's coming in at about 190 pounds. Unbelievable conditioning, actually. So he should make 6th or 7th anyway. He should. Well, we got Jeff Long, we've got Juan Diesel Morel, we've got Alexandre Natat, who's from France, and he's a big thick guy. He at FIBO in 2011 and came 12th. Just from the pictures of the 2011 FIBO show, the guy needs a lot of conditioning. He really does. He's as big as a house, but just very bulky looking. Essa Obiad, fantastic. I kind of my tip for the top. One of my tips for the top. We'll do that in a second, anyway, Colin.
Yeah.
With Randy Rettinger from North Carolina, who's he's from North Carolina. He's actually 54 years old. He won the 50 plus in I think it was when he won his pro card. He got it because he won the Masters 50 plus, and he won the overall. It was in Mr. Canada or something like that, and that's how he got his pro card. But that was last year, 2010. Sorry. So he was 52 then, so now he's 54. Again, a fantastic physique, especially for 54 years old. And rounding out the top 14, we have Fred Balls. To me, Fred's upper body wins the show unbelievably. I think his lower body just lets him down a bit. Again, I was looking at pictures of him, they weren't recent. I think they were about a year and a half old, so he might have brought up the legs a good bit. If he does, he probably wins the show, but I can't bank on it, to be honest, that much. So you heard the names there, Colin. How do you think it's going to run? Just by, obviously we don't know what they look like, but saying everyone's 100%, how do you think it's going to go?
I like Essa Obiad. He kind of came onto the scene 2 years ago. I think he won the Arnold Amateur 2 years ago. And he's a shorter guy, but he's got big round muscle bellies. He's normally in condition. I think he's going to be up there along with Juan Morel, who has placed second and third, I think, in his last two shows, and AD Cherry. So they'll be my 1, 2, 3. I don't know what order, but definitely two of those guys are going to be standing when the last name is called out, I'd imagine. Grigori Etoyen, he has a chance. Again, I said it before about his physique. I just don't like his physique. But the rest of the guys, we don't know very much about them. There's a couple of debuts, like you said. There's a few guys who competed at the FIBO 2 years ago, which you did attend, I believe, Craig.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you might have a better idea about those few. But definitely, I'm looking at AD Cherry, Essa Obiad, and Juan Morel. Definitely two of those are going to place in the top three. Fred Smalls will be fighting off for third, maybe fourth place. That'll be my 3 or 4, Craig. Who do you think is going to take the top 3?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, Colin. I've 1 and 2, Essa Obiad and Juan Morel, and that's not an order. Either of them win, I'd be happy enough. I've seen a couple of pictures of Juan Morel about 3 weeks out. I think it was 3.5 weeks out. The guy was incredible looking. But so Essa Obiad is a fantastic physique as well, so it's going to be very tight, I think.
Yeah.
I have Jeff Long coming in on third, so I think he should get his condition right. I think the last time he did it, he didn't look too good, so I'm surely he's not going to make the same mistake twice. I have AD Cherry in fourth, followed by Gregory Etoyen, and then Fred Smalls coming in fifth or sixth. Not too sure what way it's going to go, but the top 3 I think will be the top 3. But you know what, surely one person that we don't know, Colin, is going to come out of the wilderness and shock us, probably,
Yeah, I mean, Masoom Butt did it for us 3 weeks ago. Nobody really knew about him. I mean, he was kind of a kept secret between the UK and up north in Derry where he's training. I definitely wasn't aware of him. Now, I've been away from Ireland for a little while, so, I have an excuse. But Craig, you need to get on your homework, man. We need to find out who these guys are. But, no, seriously though, I think somebody can come in like Masoom did, shake it up a little bit, get second place, first place, might go to qualification for the Mr. Olympia come September, and the shows are running out. There's 4 I think left before the Mr. Olympia.
4. Is it 4? No, we've got Chicago, we've got Dallas, we've got Tampa,
and there's 1 in Finland.
And the one in Finland is right. That's 4. Yeah, that's right.
So they're the 4 remaining. So there's 4 definites still to be added to the list. And then, the top 5 guys who have accrued points from placing second or third, fourth or fifth, depending on the show they're in, again, they accrue more points.
That Finnish show looks like a good lineup.
I haven't actually seen any info. Who do you know is going to do it?
Yeah, I think Rolly Winkler's going in with Tony Freeman, I think. I know for sure that, what's his name? The German guy.
Ronnie Rocco?
Ronnie Rocco, he's definitely doing it. When I met him in Montfort, he was telling me that's the next time he's getting on stage, and he's up on the front of the poster. So there's a good few more names now that I'm going to rattle off. I can't tell you offhand right now, but it looks like a very good lineup.
Good stuff.
Very good.
Well, so that's our lineup, guys, for this coming weekend. So the Friday and Saturday. 5 days out, those guys are going to have to know now pretty much if they're going to be in condition or not, and if they're not, they're going to do some drastic things the last couple of days, I'm sure, and probably make themselves look even worse. So, we'll see if they're in shape. They're in shape. If you're not, if you're not broke, don't try and fix it.
Like Masoom said last week, he grew into a show. Yeah. I mean, if that's possible, my God, that would be just the best possible scenario.
The most notorious guy for doing that had to be Kevin Roney, who'd go down to 215, 220 off season and be 255 on stage, come Olympia time, which is just 245, let's say. So it's definitely possible, and they have their little tricks, let's say. So growing into a show, absolutely 100% possible. Speaking of growing into a show, Craig, somebody who needs to do a hell of a lot of growing in the next 2 months is Jay Cutler, if he's gonna consider even attending the Olympia, never mind being on stage. I saw some pictures and I saw some video footage of him doing a very, very brief front double bicep at Lonnie Teeper's show in Southern California last weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid Jay Cutler looks like he did when he was 22 years old. Don't get me wrong, he's still a hell of a lot bigger than I am, but he's not Jay Cutler, who has won 4 Mr. Olympias.
But you know what? He's actually signed a contract to do Shuru, which is a week later. He's competing against Physique, Kai Green in Shuru.
He may have signed a contract, Craig, but you and I both know contracts can be broken. He might lose his money, and I believe you got some information on how much the competitors have to forfeit if they do actually back out of a contest. What's that?
It's $10,000 if they forfeit for a non-medical reason from a show. So I mean, $10,000 to Jay Cutler is loose change, but it's still $10,000. Now, Colin, I don't know, to be honest. I've never heard of anybody getting fined $10,000, because I'm sure they could just go to the doctor and say, the bum knee, I've got whatever problem, cold, flu, blah blah blah, you name it, I can't compete.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's all it's going to take, but you know what? It's something the IFBB should maybe do a tighter stance on. But it's bad. I believe Jay Cutler has got more than any other athlete for Shuru. He's been offered a separate contract than Phil Heath, Kai Green and all the rest.
To compete?
To compete. He's been offered like a lot more money to compete. And it's only a week later, Colin. I mean, you've seen the pictures as well. I don't know. I mean, I never write the guy off because he's an incredible athlete. But from what I see right now, my God, he could come last in India, like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He said in this brief video footage I saw that he was going to decide in the next week or so if he's actually going to commit to the Olympia. Now that obviously shows that he clearly has doubt in his mind. I think from day one he knew he wasn't going to be in the Olympia. I guarantee you that, you know, like we said in a couple of episodes ago, that it's more publicity, it's more marketing, it's just to keep it interesting, it's to keep sales going of MD and, you know, whatever company is involved with. But yeah, he won't be standing on stage as a competitor. Maybe as a guest announcer or a guest prize giver or something, but no, he's not going to be competing at the Olympia. And you know, if he places 15th, he's still not competing. He's just standing up there. So we'll just wait, and I guarantee it will be a quick Twitter feed and an MD exclusive, basically stating that Jay Cutler is out due to X amount of reasons, and it's not going to be anything we haven't heard before, guaranteed.
Yeah. So, Colin, we at time of recording last week, we didn't have a good rundown of the NABAs in World Championships in Dublin, held week and a half ago now at this stage.
Yep.
So, do you have an actual rundown there of the competitors and how they place?
I do actually. I've got a top 6 from all categories with thanks to irishmuscle.ie. The over 40 categories: 6th, Steve Johnson from England; 5th, Mario Hemmer from Austria; 4th, Phil Primer from Australia; 3rd, Charlie Duca from Australia; 2nd, Walter Lettner from Austria; and in 1st place, another Austrian man, Thomas Bernek. We'll pretend that's his correct pronunciation. The over 50s: in 6th, Dave Stecca, England; 5th, Safed Tatton, Syria; 4th, Phil Kolinski from New Zealand; 3rd, Herbie Chang from Northern Ireland, I presume it's NI; 2nd place, Dave Steele from England; 1st place, Hugh Ross, USA, which is the only USA person I've seen so far. The juniors then, which is that under 21, Craig, or under 23?
As far as I know, it's 21.
Okay.
I don't quote me on that though. So.
6th place, we've got Jan Ryseka from the Czech Republic; 5th, Manzako Alexander from Russia; 4th, Dean Menteith from Northern Ireland; 3rd place, Josh Law from England; 2nd, Grigori Cesarelli from Italy; and 1st place, Kagan Orton, New Zealand. Mistrained figure, class 2, I presume. 6th, Aurora Fagundes from Uruguay; 5th, Irene Ali, South Africa; 4th, Lorendana De Francesi from Italy; 3rd, Cheryl Steele, England; 2nd, Novik Olga from the Ukraine; and 1st place from Italy, Flora Conte. Mr. Class 4, we've got 6th place from England, Paul Scarborough. 5th, Darren Poole from Wales. 4th, Michael Pooch from Slovakia. 3rd, Hotner Ulf from Germany. 2nd, Ricky Moore, England. And in 1st place, we have an Irishman, Tommy Staunton. So well done to Tommy for taking 1st place in Mr. Class 4. I did see pictures, Tommy. You look really, really good on stage and you absolutely deserve to take 1st place.
Absolutely. Congrats, Tommy. Well done.
So we go Mr. Class 3. Joe Walker from England. Edward Selsby from England takes 5th. 4th, Murat Unal from Turkey. 3rd place, Jake Nukalopoulos from Australia. 2nd, Tony Mout, Northern Ireland. So again, well done, Tony. 1st, Anthony Basels from England. Mr. Class 2, 6th place, Andres Pinnock, England. 5th place, Oktar Hrdeka from Czech Republic. 4th, Frank Knott, Ireland. Another Irishman, well done, Frank. 3rd place, Andre Malka from the Czech Republic. 2nd, Dukhnota Sergey from the Ukraine. And 1st, Sidar Artolga. Alright, and Mr. Class number 1. 6th place, Danny Wellborn, England. 5th, Lachlan Gannon, Ireland. Well done, Lachlan. 4th, Sebastian Florquet from France. 3rd, Mark Getty from Ireland again. 2nd, Lucas Gabris from England. And 1st place, Stuart Carrington from England. Now I will go back up here and I will cover mistoned figure. I presume this is Class 1. We've got 6th place, Kerr Rose Fagan, Northern Ireland. 5th, Jenny Maybury, Ireland. 4th, Kelsey Young, England. 3rd, Charlotte Magel, England. 2nd, Catherine Hosker Brothers from England. And 1st, Nicola Bentham from England. So a big population coming from England there, guys, which is it's nice to see coming across the water to compete. I know it's the World Championships, but you know we have to support the people who are close by. And I have to say I was rooting for you in the soccer on Sunday, lads, but unlucky for any of our English listeners. And then last up we've got Miss Physique. We've got 5th place, Louise Baird from England. 4th, Indria Ward, Ireland. 3rd, Caroline Wang, Austria. 2nd, Lisa Bailey, New Zealand. And 1st, Herkapa Ela Ona, Romania. And overall Miss Trend goes to Leslie Ann Armstrong. And overall men's goes to Mr. Anthony Bales, or Bales probably. So guys, everyone who competed, we did see the pictures. Unfortunately we couldn't actually compare pictures to names as we didn't have that information, let's say, but to be fair, the categories were fairly well stacked. We did note that who the Irish people were in the lineups, and you know, a couple of hard calls for some of them, but definitely Tommy Staunton deserved his 1st place. So congratulations to everyone who did compete, who took the time to, you know, diet down, get across, get over here, organise their accommodation, not just the English or Irish or the Welsh or Scottish or Northern Ireland coming down from Dublin. You know we've got people there from France, Australia, fucking South America, Romania, New Zealand, Australia, Austria, Czech Republic, Turkey, Ukraine. You know, it was definitely a world stage. It was well represented, and I'm sorry to say I didn't make it, but next time, guys, I will try my best to get back home for the NABA Worlds qualifiers at least. Craig, did you see any pictures on irishmuscle.ie?
Yes, yeah, I seen a lot of pictures actually, and I seen a lot of interviews. I got a hand to irishmuscle.ie. They're really most proud of Ireland, like. I mean, they've got the TV, we've got the radio, so hopefully we're getting out to everybody, and we're reaching out to who we should be reaching out to.
Yeah.
You know, what else did I want to say? Yes, and we've got some news actually of another upcoming Irish competition, Colin, coming up in 27th of October, I believe. Have you got some information on that?
Alright, indeed, guys. We got the RIBBF National Bodybuilding Championships being held in the University Concert Hall in Limerick. It's October 27th and 28th. The special guest is none other than IFBB professional Kai Green, and along with Kai attending to do a seminar will be his mentor, his diet guru, let's say, the pro maker himself, George Farah. So if anyone has any questions or any info about the competition itself and the categories and entering, the person to contact is going to be Mick Bullman. You can get him on mickbullman@gmail.com, or his mobile number is also on the poster, so I'm going to give it out to you. It's 085 1178 611. So if you're outside Ireland, +353, drop the 0. Craig, I won't make it to this, but I will see Kai at the Olympia in Las Vegas in September. I have to presume you're going to attend to see Kai at this one and George Farah's seminar as well. Definitely well worth the trip, even if it's just to see these two guys, one for the seminar, one for the guest pause. You're definitely going to be entertained and informed.
Yeah, well, I'm actually on the 28th. I'm heading over to London for the Patriots and Rams NFL game.
Okay.
But on the 27th, I'm definitely going to hit up Limerick. So there's a possibility I might miss this seminar with Farah, but I definitely get the full show and live commentary on Facebook, live pictures. I'll be looking up as soon as they come up on stage. So I'll keep everyone up to date on our Facebook page. On the day, we have a lot of friends on our Facebook page that are going to be competing in that day. So I wish all of you guys best of luck. Yeah, prep should be starting, I suppose, within the next 4 to 6 weeks probably, before the prep gets started, depending on how long you need. But I want to wish everyone the best of luck. It's going to be a great show. The venue is fantastic. Hopefully, our BBF have learned a lesson from Waterford, not to have 15 guys on a tiny stage, but stage in Limerick actually is a much bigger stage, so you could really have 20 up on the stage and everyone else would have room. Secondly, something I'd like to mention to anyone, if Mick Bullman or anyone is listening, or Ian McPartlin, or a member of the IFBB crew, or the IBBF crew, maybe, depending on how many entries you get for the first timers, or for anyone for this matter, but particularly first timers, because it's getting more popular. You had 32 entries last time. I mean, the nationals, you're probably going to stay with another 30. Guys, split it by height or weight, one of them, and then pick your two winners and two up against each other for the overall first timer. I think it'll be the best way, because the last time it was a mess. It took way too long to do, way too long. So that's just my 2 cents, guys.
You know what, to be honest, Craig, I don't think that the National Bodybuilding Championship should have a first-timers class. I think you should have to earn your keep. You should have to place top 5 or whatever it is in a smaller show before you can qualify for the Nationals. Because, you've got guys who are first-timers technically who could be training for 20 years, have competed in the past but not in the RIBBF, and they're still technically first timers.
Yeah.
So if they come in and they're standing up stage looking great and all, more power to them. But I don't think that a first timer should be at the RIBBF. I think the standard should be qualification required. All the categories that are listed other than that, absolutely, your female physique, your body fitness, your classic bodybuilding masters. Or actually, you know what, Craig, going back on this, I don't understand why there's so many different categories here in comparison to the IFBB when the RIBBF is affiliated with the IFBB.
Yeah.
I think you got to keep it the same. You got to keep it the same as the professional league, so that if somebody in the female physique qualifies, then they can compete in women's physique in the States, let's say, right? Or, because there's no such thing as classic bodybuilding when you come over here to the IFBB circuit if you want to be professional.
Yeah.
There is masters, that's fine. There's weight classes at the NPC level here, which is the amateur level, which fine, again, no problem with that. But, body fitness, I don't know. They need to change it. They need to make it figure, or they need to make it fitness. They need to differentiate one between the other. Bikini is now involved again. I hope that the standard is actually up to par with what you'll see on the NPC stage here in the States. And girls, if you are going to compete, it's not about just thinking that you look good lying by the pool or in a bikini in your summer holidays. Don't go down to Penny's and buy your favourite polka dot bikini and expect to stand up stage and look professional. Go online, order a proper bikini, one that's going to flatter your body the way it is. Just like the guys, you should be ordering your trunks from someone who actually makes bodybuilding trunks. Don't be going buying your Speedos in Lifestyle Sports and thinking that they're going to look just as good on stage. Get a cut that fits you, be it male or female. You're representing yourself up on stage. Look professional when you're doing it. For the sake of $25 for the guys and maybe 50 or 60 for the women. You'll get a swimsuit that will, or a bikini, let's say, that will, flatter your physique. But again, make sure that you're actually going to be in shape. Don't think that because your stomach is flat that you should be up there doing a bikini competition. You still have to be pretty damn lean if you want to compete on the next level, which would be the IFBB. Now, do we have that standard? We won't know. I think this might be the first time bikini has been entered into the RIBBF, Craig. Is that correct?
As far as I know, Colin, that's right, man. Yeah.
So, it's nice to see it. It encourages more people to compete. It encourages more people to live a healthy lifestyle and go to the gym and train and whatever. But I think they need to get the categories down. You've got men's bodybuilding, women's bodybuilding, women's physique, men's physique if they decide to bring it in, and bikini, and then you've got fitness and figure. And just keep those 6, adding in all these different combinations. It just confuses everyone. No one knows what they're looking for. It's hard even for the judges sometimes to differentiate between, do I go for the conditioned girl or the muscular girl? And you need to stick with the criteria. And the less categories there are, the less crossover there will be, the less confusion, and the less pissed off athletes at the end when they say, well, I was the leanest person on stage, but I take 6th place. It has to be.
Colin, you're absolutely right. I mean, to be honest, the very first time you brought me to a show, going back 6-7 years ago, maybe, whatever it was, 2006 or whatever, I was looking at the women's category, and I swear to God, I had no idea what I was looking at.
Yeah.
I was just looking at women in bikinis. Honest to God, didn't know, am I looking for, she's not muscular, or she's way more muscular than her. Is she in the right category, or is she one in the wrong category? I didn't know what I was looking for. And you know what? Even the most recent show up in Waterford only 6 weeks ago, I was still kind of looking at it and still a bit confused. And I'm a bit lost because I'm used to watching, the NPC and used to watching IFBB, and like you have, I mean, even at that, it's not a perfect science, but you have an idea of what people are looking for.
Yeah.
Whereas if you come over here, whatever about the men, but I do be sorry for the women because they must feel like, what am I achieving here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
I need to get a little leaner. Do I need to pack on a bit more muscle? And that could be a fine line between coming first and coming last.
Yeah, because I don't want to seem like I'm putting down the actual competitors here at all. I'm not. Yeah. The guidelines. What are the actual guidelines? Who's the poster girl for female physique, or who's the poster girl for bikini, or you have to have some sort of standard up there. Whereas bodybuilding has been it's been there for a long time. It's evolved as we go, and we'll speak a bit more about that actually later on in the show. But being the newer categories, it's harder to find what the judges are looking for. It's hard for the competitors to decide whether they need to get leaner or, like you said, get more muscle. But by having all of these categories, and then people look online at the US amateur and the US professional categories, and they're just the comparison isn't there. We don't know what we're looking for. It needs to be made more simple. The more simple it is, the more straightforward someone can be in terms of their training techniques. So, right, I gotta get in condition, or I gotta get bigger. It's very hard, but if anyone's listening, or IBBF, Mick Bullman, or anyone like that, if you're listening, guys, or the NABA guys, if you're entering competitions as well, or organising them, give somebody absolute point-blank guidelines. Women need to be, for example, bikini, sub 10%. I mean, if you're not sub 10% and you're trying to win a bikini competition, you shouldn't be standing on a bodybuilding stage in a bikini competition.
Yeah.
That's the women at the bikini level. You might look lean and skinny, sub 15%, but lean and skinny shouldn't be winning a competition. That's just just me.
Not a model search,
Yeah, and even at that, I don't think model search. You've got the Victoria's Secret models who, don't get me wrong, they look good. Well, they look great, or whatever you want to call it. But that shouldn't be what you're aiming for. You shouldn't be aiming for long and skinny and slightly toned, let's say. You got to be lean, showing a little bit of muscle. Even for bikini, it should be still a little bit muscular. It's a bodybuilding competition. It's just one category of it. But I don't know. I could go on for days about the lack of the kind of set standards. But anyways.
And you know what? A good tip for any modern bikini models out there. Listening to all the interviews from all the top bikini pros out there, don't venture more than between 5 and 10 pounds, and 10 being the worst end of the scale from their actual contest weight.
Oh yeah.
So that's, if anybody's thinking, I'm going to lose 20 pounds again on stage, maybe give this one a miss and go for the next one. You don't want to lose that too fast. It'll show on stage. Like,
yeah, it's,
you need 20 pounds, you don't have enough muscle on your body yet. Like,
yeah. And again, we mentioned it a few episodes back that a lot of people don't necessarily realise how much body fat they need to lose to be in shape. So, for the bikini girls, if you want to enter a bikini competition on the bodybuilding stage, not next to a pool or anything, on a bodybuilding stage, if you want to enter a bikini competition, you should at least show abs when you flex. Now, not necessarily show them when you're standing still, but if you want to flex your abs, you should at least show some abs flexing. To me, that's where you need to be on a bodybuilding stage in a bikini competition.
Colin, there's one more thing that I wanted to get your opinion on, and I hope it doesn't sound like I'm dogging the RIBBF or any federation for that matter. I'm just giving what I think would be right or wrong. So, like, I recently got the DVD of the Waterford show, and it showed every category and so on and so forth. Now, for the most part, the judges got it right for the most part, and they can't be right on everything, so that's I'll take that into consideration. But for the first timers, I know it was very hard for them to judge because we were on each other's shoulders and so on and so forth. But in the top 6 in the final call out, like, I was on stage, I was behind this, now I didn't get into the top 6, but I could see who was going to win and who wasn't. Now, there was one of the guys who came first and second. If you're listening, guys, I don't mean any disrespect to you, but it looked, their stomachs were out past their chest, and it looked like they'd swallowed a giant turtle. And I mean, when they flexed their arms, their legs, it was the exact same flexed as unflexed.
Yeah.
Now, they came first and second. I personally thought that was awful, because look, we all know what it's from, and we all know probably most people are doing it, but there's right ways to do things and wrong ways to do things, and they're obviously doing something extremely wrong. It looked really, really bad. I think there was the guy who came in third. I thought he looked incredible. His waist was tiny. He had big lats, big legs. I thought he was going to get first. And there was 2 guys that came either 4th, 5th, or 5th and 6th. I'm not sure which way they came, and I would have had them in 2nd and 3rd, just because they had really flat, crisp abs. They were really dry. They were very big. Their posing was very, very good. And if you look back at the video, you'll see it on irishmuscle.ie, or else, Colin, I could maybe, if I can find a way of recording the DVD and send it over to you or something.
Yeah.
I'd like your opinion on, like, there's distended gut, and then there's just like this guy just swallowed a cake.
Well, I mean, with the distended belly thing, they can still control that. You can still stand on stage and hold it in. From the time you go on stage to the time you walk off, you can hold your stomach in, even when you're doing your relaxed poses, or as they're called. Stuck your stomach in. You're standing in the back of the line waiting to be called out. Suck your stomach in. The second you get off stage, if you want to blow it out, fine. But you're on stage, it's definitely not pleasing. It should be marked down because it shows you haven't got control of your physique. But it should only be judged when you're actually on the stage, once you're in sight, let's say. Not necessarily doing your poses, but once you're on stage inside of the judges, suck it in. If you can't suck it in, it should be marked down. The IFBB in America, apparently they clamped down on it a little bit in the late 90s. There is still some big guts floating around, but I have to say they are getting a little bit tighter. Now, whether, again, they're just holding it in while they're on stage and are keeping control of their abs, or, they've changed some of their protocols, let's say. Who knows? And then the argument is what actually causes it. Nobody gives an absolute definitive answer because nobody really knows.
Well, I mean, pretty much 99.9% of us have a fair idea. Obviously, we're not going to guarantee it, and you've some pros saying, it's because we eat so much food, blah, blah, blah. There's other pros who eat just as much food as you, and they don't have that as bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got the three arguments. You got it's the food quantities, which I'm not quite sure. Fine, you'll get bloated, but you won't be holding a gut like that year round.
Especially on the day of the show, because you'll have dieted down and you'd have got rid of all your carbs, and I don't think that's an excuse. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
if it was like that 16 weeks out, then you could blame food. But
yeah,
I don't know.
You see, you've got that, and then you've got the argument, oh well, we carved up, and you've got this amount of calories, whatever. So you've got the food factor apparently. Then you've got the insulin factor, which that's, I don't know whether that's guys who don't take insulin who are saying, oh, it's guys who are on insulin, or if it's guys who just want to give up a reason so they sound intelligent. And then you've got other guys who call it the GH gut. And, guys have been taking growth hormone since the late 60s. It wasn't as common because it wasn't a restricted drug. So, nobody cared. But now that it is a class 1 drug where you can't actually be in possession of it, at least not here in the States, you can't sell it. People blame, oh, well, it's GH, it's this, it's that. I don't know, man. I personally can't define what's causing it. I don't think anyone will. It's too hard to do. You'd really need to a biopsy of a human body who has a distended gut, but that person has to be dead. And I don't think anyone outside of bodybuilding world cares enough to do an autopsy on a bodybuilder to figure out what's causing the GH gut.
you said something very good a while ago, no, Colin. You mentioned about the gut being distended and so on and so forth, right? But it's like you said something about control, and that's massive, because there was other guys who had fairly big guts there on the day, but on the stage you wouldn't even know. They could control it, no problem. But the guys who came first and second, they were really heavy breathing, on stage, like they were really going to collapse,
Yeah.
No smiling out of them. They were really under pressure, and they couldn't. You see for yourself, Colin, they just couldn't. The top 2 guys could not control their gut. Now, the way I look at it, I'd love if we could get maybe Mick Bullman to come in and give us his 2 cents at some stage. We'll hopefully have an interview coming up within the next few weeks and few months, hopefully. If that's what's winning 1 and 2, why won't everyone else look like that? And to me, that's not a good look for a bodybuilder, I don't think. Now, I watched my DVD here with 2 of my cousins here actually during the week, on last Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was, and they don't have a clue about bodybuilding, but they just wanted to see the video. So it's fine, it's on. They're honest to God. Now, this is the layman. They had no clue what they're looking for. They could not understand how these 2 guys won. And that's from ordinary Joe Soap. I was trying to explain it to them, but they just were like, no, that doesn't make sense. Your man looks way better than this guy. Which, they're right, he did. But for some reason, these guys won.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's say
they obviously trained hard in the gym. I'm not taking that away from them.
Yeah.
But when you look at the top 6, instead of going 1 to 6, if it went 6 to 1, it wouldn't have surprised me. That would have been a better call than 1 to 6 in my eyes.
Yeah, what you see, the other side of it is, let's say if you got Ronnie Coleman with a distended gut and you got Phil Heath who's keeping it in tight. As far as I'm concerned, Ronnie Coleman is going to win. Do I mark him down because of his gut? I'm probably not going to, because I know that, look, it's a consequence of doing some of the stuff that guys tend to do. I don't know. It's a hard one. Hopefully, actually, in the next couple of weeks, we will have an IFBB representative, so an IFBB official will be on the show. A lot of our listeners will know who we're talking about. We won't mention the name just yet, but we have been promised an interview, so that will be nice, and we'll get some opinions on.
It's going to be a big interview for us, Colin, and we'll have a lot of questions. And any listeners that want to send in your questions, guys, send them to us on Facebook or email, and we get the questions over to the certain judge.
Yeah. So basically, we're going to ask his opinion on the bodybuilding today versus bodybuilding back then, bodybuilding on the amateur scene versus IFBB, and where does he think bodybuilding is going, and as a judge we can ask him what's he looking for when he looks at the stage, and get a real inside view of what the judges are genuinely looking for as opposed to what we think they should be looking for, because at the end of the day you can't blame the guy who came first, second, third. It's the judges who put them in that position.
Absolutely.
They're doing what the judges want, and at the end of the day, that's the unfortunate thing about bodybuilding. It's a subjective sport, So if you've got a guy who really likes Frank Zane, he's going to say, well, Frank Zane beats out Ronnie Coleman, you know. And in reality, we all know that Ronnie Coleman's a bigger bodybuilder, but is he a better bodybuilder? And that's a personal opinion. Most would argue, well, only so many people, only a handful of people in the world could ever potentially get to the size and muscularity of Ronnie Coleman, whereas Frank Zane's physique is, you know, it's a hell of a lot more attainable. I presume a lot of the guys, the NABA world, would have beat Frank Zane if Frank Zane was on stage with them, looking the way he did when he won Mr. Olympia. You know, and that's not to put him down, but it's just a different era, it's a different generation, and it's going forward. So we'll be looking forward to hearing this IFBB official's opinions on where bodybuilding was, where it is now, and where he thinks it's going to be going in the future. So that'll be a good one. We're looking forward to that. So about 2 weeks' time, guys, we hope to have that one up and on the air for you guys to listen into. Alright, well, with that, guys, then we're going to move on. We're going to go into our interview of the week. It is brought to you by DiscountSupplements.ie, with 2 retail stores in Terranure, Clondalkin and Dublin, and also one in Kilcool, County Wicklow. Your Physique Radio listeners will receive a 5% discount and a free shaker bottle on all online orders when they enter the discount code YPR at the checkout. DiscountSupplements.ie, Ireland's premier online supplement store. Alright, guys, our guest this week has been in the industry for over 25 years. He's the owner of Powerhouse Gym in Whitehaven in Cumbria. He is the promoter of the upcoming UK BFF Cumbrian Classic, and most recently we know him to be the advisor and coach of Mohammed Masoom Butt, who placed a controversial second at the 2012 Toronto Pro Show. Together they showed the world of bodybuilding the best 187 pounds of muscle it has ever seen. Ian Chambers, welcome to Your Physique Radio.
How are you doing, buddy? How's things?
We're doing good. Ian, let's go right back to the very start here. How did you get involved in bodybuilding or in the fitness world, let's say?
Oh, many moons ago, when I was 16 years old, I had a bit of a misspent youth, which we all did back in the 80s and 70s.
Yep.
I used to go to a local rugby league club gym and watch my brother and his fellow mates training. I used to sit and giggle at them. One day, after being there for 6-7 months, just watching them and laughing at them, saying, "What are you doing?" They asked me if I wanted to jump in on a squatting session they were having. Take this into consideration, I was 7 stone 8 when I left school. These guys were like men rugby players squatting with like 3 plates, not 10, I can recollect, I think it was. They asked me if I could jump in, and if I wanted to jump in, I said yes. I did climb them for the last 6 months on bench presses and stuff like that. I just used to say no, and they used to laugh. So this particular time, I said, yeah, go on, leave it, I'll have a go. They started taking weights off the bar, and I said, no, just leave them on. And these guys were knocking out like 12, 13 reps we did, and me at 7 stone 8, 9 pound knocked out about 22 reps we did to their all. And the day after that I couldn't actually move.
I think we've all been there,
yeah, which basically got the feeling of self-satisfaction, basically, because with having a misspent youth, my mum and dad were sick of me getting into trouble with the local police and all this stuff, so they sent me to the gym, which I just used to sit and laugh at these guys training, and that was basically the first ever move into lifting weights. So for 4 or 5 years after, or 3 or 4 years after that, I used to squat, and then somebody said, "Why don't you do a show?" So I would say 19-year-old, I had played 28-inch quads with a 15-inch arm.
Yeah, a bit of a disproportion there.
Which is the totally opposite now to what the youth of today are.
It's definitely changed from, big legs, big power. Now it's all about the for show muscles or the beach muscles. That's
I actually wind a couple of lads up in the gym, and I usually say there's a new government law out now. You've got to wear shorts, and they've got to wear long sleeve shirts in nightclubs, and they all look at you,
No, it's, if they did bring in that rule.
Now everybody's queuing for the squat rack.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So Ian, you're a pretty big guy now at the moment. I mean, when's the last time you competed, or what's your training routine like itself?
Last time I competed was another 2006 Pro-Ams. To be honest with you, I would say I've competed about 195 times since I was 16 years old. I was one of these guys who basically used to do 6 to 7, 8 shows a year, and I came through the ranks with the likes of John Hudson, Lee Powell, Mike Sheridan, all these guys, but Mike and them were keeping themselves every year for the certain shows, and I was winning Wabba Britain, the Wabba Junior, Mr. Britain, this, that and the other. So basically, and what it was in 2005, I actually snapped both quads. I tore the quads off both kneecaps doing squats.
Holy shit. And how long did that recovery take?
I was, well, say within 12 months I was back on the Pro-Am stage in the Navan Midlands, which I took third to Masoon Bus and John Bridge. Basically done that to basically self-think to say I could do it. What it was, a doctor actually said to me, you'll never play football with your children properly again, you'll never be able to run about. And I thought, you don't say that to me, mate. At the end of the day, you've got to throw this cartage, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I competed, I did a lot of junior shows in the late 80s, early 90s, which in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes was the best era of bodybuilding.
I agree, actually, yeah.
And bodybuilding needs to go backwards to go forwards, which is why when we brought Masoon into the Tron, everybody went, Jesus, this guy's, it's like Charles Clement, but better.
Yeah.
I actually when we all hooked up with Chris and them in the hotel, Chris actually sat down and looked at him, oh my God. And I said, it's a mixture between Lee Priest, Lee Labrada, Ben Fato, and Mohammed Makawe. Put all them jeans into one, you got Masoon, but
That's not a bad mix.
the only thing we need now is just a lean routine. Lean routine, we're on the money.
Ian, you mentioned there about squatting a lot when you were younger. Do you believe you must squat to grow your legs?
Well, I'm a big believer in you're genetically gifted, or God gives you the talent where if you can squat, you can squat, and if you can't squat, don't even try it because you're going to hurt your back. I actually try to say to people, imagine you're standing and you take your shoes off and you put your feet into a pair of shoes which are concrete into the floor. And what you do is you put your arms out to the back, to the sides of you, and you bend down as if you're trying to touch the seat behind you. And if you can do that and keep your balance and try and drive through your ankles, you're going to be a natural squatter. If not, you're doing good morning, which is going to hurt your back, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Dorian built his quads on leg press, so I can't say squats do it, and I can't say leg press do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as long as you stimulate the muscle, I mean, you're going to get some growth and add the additional weight as you get stronger. I mean, if you can't squat, don't squat and move on and do what you can.
As long as you're stretching and flexing, there's three parts of the movement: the positive, the negative, and the in-between. You know what I mean? Stretch and flex and hold. There's a big difference between lifting weights and lifting weights, isn't there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, if anyone's listening there who tends to avoid the squat and you're kind of wondering what the hell Ian is talking about, basically, you know, like he said, there's a difference between lifting weights, and you know, you can go through the motions, but going through the motions will only get you so far, and it's never going to get you onto a stage looking as good as you can. Full range of motion, all the way up, all the way down, flex at the top, stretch on the way in. Don't throw on weight for the sake of it, but make sure you're putting on enough weight that you will actually get some stimulus and some growth from.
There's an old saying in bodybuilding: one man's sledgehammer is another man's toffee hammer.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The only advice I can give people at the moment is play your own game. If the guy besides is using 190-pound dumbbells for chest, you don't need to use the 190-pound dumbbells. You can make a 50-pound dumbbell feel like a 190-pound dumbbell in your mind.
Yep.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And another advice is, if anybody can get any kind of database or DVDs on Tom Platz, watch it and watch it and watch it until you actually realise what Tom is going on about, because Tom is a big believer of the emotion side of bodybuilding, connecting mind and muscle.
Yeah, he was very deep, actually. He really was.
You know, until you connect the mind and the muscle, it's basically you're floating away in no man's land.
The gym I'm working at the moment here in Arizona, it's generally the population, let's say, are in their 50s and up, and there's a hell of a lot of them who've been training for probably 25-30 years, but they genuinely do not look like they've been in the gym once in their life, because they're just going through the same motions day in, day out.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other ones, the smarter guys who actually paid attention, and you know, they look as good as they should look for the time they've put in. But so many people these days just go along and they want to get the big arms and, you know, maybe a little bit of chest, but there's no quads, there's no hamstrings. You know, it's just it's a joke, you know, in some aspects.
People actually use age as an excuse. I've got a client of mine called Bernie Cooper.
Yep.
Bernie Cooper is 67 years old, and he's improving and improving and improving every year. Bernie won the Arnold Classic last year in the Masters. He's won the World Championships IFBB 3 times. He's won the European IFBB 3 times. The NABA Mr. Universe. He's always in the Masters. Bernie come to me, 57 years old. Google Bernie Cooper and you'll see the 8th wonder of the world.
I met him at a guest pose in Limerick. It was about 18 months ago. Absolutely incredible.
And when he told me his age, I honest to God nearly dropped dead.
This year, this Arnold Classic will be £9 heavier this year than he was last year at 67 years old.
Jesus. That's frightening.
Well, who else have you got on your list of clients at the moment? You got Masoom, you got Bernie Cooper. Who else is in there, Ian?
I've got Violet Swartz, which is Bernie's girlfriend.
Okay.
I've got Trevor Crouch, who's an IFBB pro. Trevor didn't compete for about 5 or 6 years. He done the Russian pro with Ronnie and Jay. And then Trevor was weighing, I think he was weighing 295 in Russia. I've got a lot of top amateurs coming through. I've actually got a guy at the moment called Barry Barraclough. He's been training 4 years since he came out of the army, and he's put nearly 6.5 stone of tissue on. Dorian actually said, Jesus Christ, this could be the next Dorian yet.
If Dorian gives you a good compliment, I mean, you really have to take it because they're very few and far between.
Especially off Dorian, believe me.
Yeah. Let's go forward. You're doing the UK BFF competition. You're promoting that one. It's upcoming. Tell us about that. What classes are in there? Who your guest posers are, and a bit more.
We've got the 1st of July, which is held in Whitehaven, Cumbria, which is the northwest of England. We've got Masoom Butt guest posing. We've got Manu, IFBB Pro. We've got Trevor Crouch, IFBB Pro. We've got Bernie Cooper, who should be an IFBB Pro. And we've got Kizzy Vanes, who's an IFBB Pro fitness girl. If that isn't worth £15 of anybody's money, I don't think anything is.
Yeah, and will the winners of each class, will they qualify for the UK, or what happens?
Because it's the first year of a UK BFBB sanctioned show, it's actually a trial show, but Bill Teeny has promised me that if the standard is to what the judges have deemed acceptable for the British Championships, they will be taken to... I'm actually a UK BFBB judge myself.
Okay. That's got to help in terms of getting qualifying spots and stuff.
I'm actually dangling the carrot at the moment for Anth Bales, who's over in your part of the woods this weekend for the NABA World Championships.
Oh, excellent. Good stuff. Yeah, we won't actually get up there ourselves. Well, I'm obviously here in the States, so that's going to be a hard one, but you know, we'll definitely get some feedback and some pictures of the clients and whatnot. If you have them and you want to post them up, let us know.
Yeah.
You own Powerhouse in Whitehaven, Cumbria, right? Can you tell us a bit about your gym, and when did it open, and how did you get about opening it, and so on?
Basically, in 1991, when I'd been in bodybuilding probably 5 or 6 years, I started getting the physique where I thought, well, maybe I could do some damage in the smaller divisions. I won't say the smaller guys, because some smaller guys have got better arm measurements than the bigger guys. Basically, what it was, I lived in between 2 bungalows. There was my house and my mother-in-law's house, which is the biggest mistake of my life, living too close to the mother-in-law. So what it was, there was a bit of land in between the 2 houses, and my plan was to build a gym which was big enough to hold equipment in for me to try and win the British Championships, the NABA Universe, or whatever it was. But unfortunately, when we done a land scan, there was an underground culvert running in between the 2 houses. So basically what I done was I found a unit that come for rent on the industrial estate I'm on now, a smaller unit. I opened it up, started training, started getting the... I mean, when I actually opened the gym, my exercise equipment was an Argos exercise bike.
You started off on a low scale there anyway.
Yes. Now I actually give treadmills away to the local rugby teams once they've passed the sell-by date, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is why once the Cumberland Classics are out of the way, most of the money will be donated to West Cumberland Children's Hospital, which the government are trying to shut. As a child or as a young kid competing in bodybuilding, I used to travel. We are talking 20 odd years ago here, you know what I mean? But I used to travel to Manchester to Kerry Cage's Better Bodies gym. I used to walk into the Room of Doom, which was a room 10 foot by 10 foot with like hexagon mirrored, and Dorian and the likes of Paul Boris and God rest his soul and Kerry had been in the room. Every professional bodybuilder who was anything in the 80s and 90s had been in the Room of Doom in Kerry's. You know, and you used to strip off with your posing briefs on, and they used to pull you to bits, tell you what you wanted to do. You used to go home crying, and then go back a couple of weeks after. Kerry used to tell you you'd improve, which was worth the early mornings in the gyms, and because let's be honest, in England is a fridge. We don't live in a warm climate.
Yep.
Which is why cardiovascular people, they don't like to get on the roads when it's pissing down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's crying out, being to California, I go to the Olympia every year, and if I had lived in them places, it wouldn't bother me pushing them out and riding the mountain bike around the roads, but when you do it in England, when it's -3, wind's blowing in you, and it's raining, cats and dogs. As far as Powerhouse is concerned, we opened in 1991. We moved over the road into a bigger premises. We opened the ladies' gym, which is it's gone. Women don't want to train with men, full stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to train with some of men. We've got in here. You know, now we've got clientele from cage fighters. We've got the European and world strike and submit world champion in here. We've got professional footballers. We've got rugby players. We've actually got just normal people. It's just a bit. What I try to create in Powerhouse, what they did in Gold's Gym in Africa. Bodybuilders are blending in with the public.
Yeah.
You know where I'm coming from?
Absolutely. I'm at a Gold's Gym myself here in Arizona, and it's you know when you go in, you're there to train. There are a couple of fancier ones, but the one I'm in itself, there hasn't been a new piece of equipment put in over 10 years, and everything works. It's older, but it's smooth, it's consistent. You know, you've always got the good clientele, and it's motivation, you know. I
mean, the first time I walked into Gold's Gym Flamingo 10, 12 years ago, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven.
Yeah, it's unreal, isn't it?
I was walking about the place, and the guy says, "Do you need a hand?" And I said, "I could do with a manual, because God knows what half these machines do." I mean, I was in there for like 4 hours.
They've closed that place down now. It's been closed a couple of months, surprisingly enough.
Yeah. So I liked that and preferred to the other one in the city. I didn't like that. It was too leotard for me.
Yeah, I know where you come from. Myself and Craig have both actually been to Flamingos, and like you said, there's so much equipment, so much space, and you see it in the photo shoots along with Venice. But the fact that it went and closed it had to be somebody who doesn't care about bodybuilding, let's say, who made that decision. It had to be a financial thing, you know.
Yeah, it was one of them gyms where, when you used to walk up Better Body's gym in Manchester to Kerry's, where Ricky Hatton used to train there in the Phoenix Club at the back of the body. Kerry actually built Phoenix Club for Ricky Hatton to win the World Championships and obviously get beat by Mayweather, basically. So you used to feel the hairs on the back of your neck standing on end as you were walking into the gym.
Yeah.
You know, it was impossible to have a bad workout if your mind was connected on the way into. You know when you're driving to the gym and you're emotionally feeling the workout in your head. I'm into the judging side of it now, and the clientele trying to put something back. But I mean, I used to be a bodybuilder. I'm all right now. That's what I say to people. The night before I used to do chest, I used to lie in bed and fall asleep dreaming about doing chest. And then I used to drive to the gym in the morning and basically imagine doing chest. So when I got to the gym, I'd already done it twice. The only thing I had to do was go through the motions and do it.
Actually, last week's show we were talking about how your mind can help you get ahead, and that mind-muscle connection and mind over matter, and we spoke about exactly what you're saying there, where you have to be focused on what you're about to do, otherwise why do it?
The body can't follow where your mind hasn't been.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to drum into the new generation of athletes out there that they want everything tomorrow, and bodybuilding is a marathon. Bodybuilding's like climbing a big mountain. What you've got to do is you've got to do it in short breaks and stop it every now and again and admire the view. Two of them are trying to rush the top two fast.
With Massoum Butt, how did you actually meet up with him, and how did you come to work with him for the competitions and so on?
I think about 8-9 years ago, I was with Bernie Cooper. Bernie Cooper was doing the Masters at the WABA, the NAC World Championships. It was actually the same show where Sylvia Samuels won the overall as a middleweight. Massoum was doing class 4, I think it was. And then we had the middleweights in different classes. And Bernie was obviously, because Bernie was in the over 50s, he was the first class on. And until you Google Bernie Cooper and actually see the guy's condition, you don't know what I'm talking about. So after the radio station, Google Bernie Butt. And then what Massoum said, he went up to Bernie. He says, "How the bloody hell did you get in that condition?" He went, "See the little bald guy over there with the goatee." He says, "Go on to the crack with him." So I was talking to Massoum, and I was unknown to me that Massoum had been to Australia, he'd been to Germany. So he was travelled and an educated guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought I was talking to a refugee from Pakistan. You know, when you start and you start talking like an alien, don't you? They must be looking at you thinking, God, what's the matter with this idiot? He actually speaks better English than me. Do you know what I mean? So I was writing it down on a bit of paper, you know, trying to explain to him about the camp. I mean, he actually told me what he was taking at the time, his supplements.
Yep.
And I couldn't believe it. I went, how do you look like that? Obviously, it's genetics, basically. So what I said to him was, I was writing it down, and I got the bit of paper off him, and he was writing it down as I was explaining. But because it's like, you can't explain a workout to somebody, you better show them it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I said to him, I said, listen, give me that bit of paper. I took the bit of paper off him, I scribbled my mobile phone number on a bit of paper. I said, listen, if you're ever coming through the UK, give me a call. So obviously we spent the last couple of days together at the show. We said our goodbyes, got back into England. 2 days later, my mobile phone went, Ian, it's my son, I'm in Manchester. I went, fuck me, he doesn't fuck about, does he? So I phoned Kerry Kayes up in Manchester, who actually owns CMP, if anybody knows. Got him picked up at the airport. I travelled down from Whitehaven to Manchester Airport, which was nearly 2.5, 3 hours. Brought him back up to Cumbria. I mean, taking in consideration as well, I'd only been married with a 4-month-old child in my new house for about 6 months. I brought a guy over from Pakistan, basically put him in the back bedroom, right? I used to wake him up in the morning, take him off his cardio, give him his breakfast, put him back in the back bedroom. I used to go to work in the gym. My wife used to take the baby next door to the Wicked Witch of the West. I mean, the mother-in-law, sorry. And my wife used to go to work as a school teacher. So you think about this. I've got a guy who could be anybody in the world, in the house, waiting for me, phoning him up 2.5 hours later saying, have you had some of these? Because I'd prepare all his food for him. And then for like 6, 7 months, Masoom basically lived in that back bed. That's why we didn't, my wife wasn't really bothered because we never seen him. He was one of these guys who just used to sleep, go to the gym, do his cardio. I mean, the guy's half man, half mattress.
Yeah. that can only help you as well when you're trying to get bigger, that extra sleep and rest, you know.
And he can fucking snore as well, believe me.
Your wife must have been very impressed.
So basically we took him into the pro-ams. He landed in England on the Thursday. On the Saturday I stuck him in a local Mr. International Pendle Valley show.
Alright.
The guy hadn't been off the airplane 48 hours.
Jeez.
And he was standing on stage with tissue hanging off him. And we used to have the version of the Gladiators back then. You know what I mean? And we had a guy who was called Warrior, who was one of the head judges.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually phoned me. I was behind him in the audience, and he phoned me and he said, I'm just playing hell with these judges here, telling them, why aren't you picking this Asian guy out? It's a bodybuilding show. The guy's got muscle hanging off him.
Mm-hmm. And
you're leading him out to somebody. It's not a thin skin competition. It's a bodybuilding competition.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, don't get us wrong. Masoom, he hasn't put a dramatic amount of weight on over the last 4 or 5 years. He's just conditioned what he has, and he's got. You know, I mean, you wouldn't believe the weight that Masoom was on that stage at the Toronto, and I won't say it, so don't ask it.
Yeah.
But believe me, we left England at £216, whatever it was, and it was sub 200 when we got there, when he got on stage.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, you know, that's why we hooked up with Chris Aceto, because I actually said to Masoom, you know, we won the NABA Pro-Ams, we won the Caledonian Pro-Ams in England. Masoom went back to Pakistan, came over to Dublin. Basically, what I said when he decided he was wanting to compete again this year, I said, listen, bro, I said, I'm not one to blow my own trumpet, but I think I've stuck you as far as I can.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I said, we need to bring somebody in. I said, I think the person to bring in is Chris Aceto.
And tell me this, Ian, do you have a similar concept towards contest prep that Chris does himself, or was it a completely different scenario?
Very, very, very similar.
Good.
See, you know the YT3 and the FST7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been using one for years called the KIFS.
All right. What does that go for?
They call it Keep It Fucking Simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I was never sold on the extra sets and extra repetitions and pump up with 7 sets at the end. What difference is it going to make? You know.
Bollocks. Keep it simple. You can't reinvent the wheel, can you?
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
Can't reinvent the wheel. You cannot. You go in the gym, you stimulate neural tissue damage, you go home, you eat, you sleep. The side effect is muscle.
Yeah, it's a lot of people overcomplicate it, and obviously a lot of it's for sales of DVDs and books and all this bullshit, but like at the end of the day you're just giving out false information to, like, you've got 17, 18-year-old teenagers who think if they do an extra 7 sets at the end they're going to turn into Jay Cutler or Masoom Butt. I mean, it's just not going to happen. You know, like you said, keep it simple, do the basics right, and just keep doing it consistently.
You could take it to the chemical side.
Yeah.
People think, well, he's taking this, he's taking that. I mean, back in the 80s, yeah, before pegulated MGF, before IGF-1, before anybody could afford growth hormone, before PGR2, MFI, B&Q, Kentucky fucking Fried Chicken, we used KIS. It's simple. Do you know what I mean? This is what it's all about. Keep it simple, and it works.
Well, obviously it does, because I mean, like we said at the start there with our intro, we honestly believe that, we got a number of 187. I think that came from Chris Aceto. Whether it was right or not, I don't know, but whatever Masoom was on stage, he looked unbelievable, and credit to you, and even more credit to you for saying, we need to bring someone else in here and let's go further with this, because it takes a bigger man to do that than someone to bring someone down. Not to say that you would have, but fair play to you.
Me and Chris met for the first time in the hotel room, and it just clicked together. Bang.
Good.
I mean, we would actually. I mean, people were phoning us up in England, from England, saying, "What's the expo like? What's the expo like?" And I said, "I don't know, I haven't been."
Yeah.
Me and Chris, we would sit on a sofa and just sit and talk about life.
Yeah. You see, that's good when you have a working relationship with someone who you can genuinely get along with as well. You have more respect for them in what they know in terms of knowledge, and just their past experiences. If you can relate to it, it's going to help you go forwards as a team, the three of you together,
The only thing Chris done was just imagine Radio Dublin being 97.3 FM. The scene was 91.0. You just needed that to flash a little bit on it. And to be honest with you, I don't think I could have given it, but I know fine well Chris could have, and he did.
Well,
but he obviously wasn't good enough. But when we come back to the British Grand Prix in about 16 weeks' time, believe me, if they want hamstrings and glutes, we'll give them hamstrings and glutes.
Yeah. I tell you, Ian, from the pictures and the live play-by-play I was watching, I could not see how he would get second. I couldn't see it. I couldn't.
I mean, Stevie fucking Wonder could see it.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder could see he won the show, but I don't want to get into politics because I'm a judge myself.
I think it's maybe his name that he wasn't that well known in that side of the water, that maybe they gave it to the other guy. But I don't know. They say about glutes or hamstrings or something. Maybe it's maybe, but he still ran away with that show, in my opinion. Ran away.
Well, I mean, Flex Wheeler, Sean Rain, everybody was based. I mean, even Kai Green shook his head, to be honest with you. I mean, that was more, maybe not as bad, but it was just as bad as Sammy Ahan getting shafted in New York the year before by a fat Kevin English.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree.
Now, quote me on that if you want. That was more controversial than Flex getting beat the year before.
Tell us this, Ian. All going well, which I'm sure it will. Is Masoom going to go for the Olympia this year?
No, what we're going to do is we're going to bypass Dallas.
All right.
We're going to go to the British Grand Prix. We're going to go to the Shiru Classic. And then I think there's a show in Czech Republic in December. So what we're going to do is, we've got... I'm trying to speak without giving the weight away, to be honest with you. We've got 20 odd pounds to play with.
That's what I was going to ask you again. Has he enough he has plenty of room. But if we got to 210, would he be too big for his frame, or what do you think he can get to and still look really crisp?
I think he can. I personally, Chris will probably agree with us. In time, I'm talking time here. I'm not talking before the Grand Prix, before whatever. I'm talking time. He needs to bring his calves up. He needs to. Obviously, you can't have big enough quads, can you?
No.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hamstrings. I mean, you can't put any more muscle on his biceps. You can't put any more. Maybe a bit more fullness in the pecs.
Yeah, I mean, how tall is Masumi?
I think he's 5'5"-ish.
Yeah,
I'm 5'1", so he's a fucking giant to me.
Yeah, no, he's definitely got the physique that I think they should be looking for these days. I mean, Flex Lewis, to me, he should have been the 202 Olympia when it was that. And coming forwards now, whether he can put on an extra few pounds, I don't know. But like you said earlier, Kevin English, to me, I don't think Kevin English has the physique that should be winning these shows. He might be the biggest guy out there, but he's definitely not the best guy out there.
Kevin English's last two outings have been very poor, and he got them on his name, I think, anyway.
If it was a size competition, Marcus Rose should be 10 times Mr. Olympia.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
let's be honest, the ugliest physique in the world, that Greg Kovacs.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, Greg Kovacs.
395 pounds, looks like a lot of meat stood against the wall.
Yeah, he's just shouldn't have been on a professional stage. How he got there, I don't know, but his later competitions were shocking.
At the end of the day, what was actually shocking with Masoom, which we witnessed. I mean, understand, right? We left Manchester on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and Wednesday and Thursday, Masoom was ill, being sick, vomiting, bleeding sick. He couldn't keep his food in. He'd picked up an airborne virus on the airplane. And when I actually seen him on the Wednesday morning, I thought he'd done a Michael Jackson because he looked white. I said, bro, are you okay? Oh, bro, I've been sick. But to be honest with you, I think it maybe helped him a bit because some athletes can be overindulgent in. I mean, what my feeling is, right, and I've had a crack with Ant Players about this. My feeling is, and I got this off probably one of the best Mr. Olympias in the world, Dorian. If you're ready on Thursday and your show's on Saturday, why change something?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, very good point.
Why put 700? Why put 1,400 grams of carbs in over 2 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, once the body fat's gone and it's fluid manipulation, if your body's used to a teaspoon of coffee before you do your cardio, if you have 3 teaspoons of coffee, you'll be wired for about 3 days because your body reacts that fast to any slight change in anything.
Like you said, if you're there on Thursday, why change it Friday and Saturday?
The only thing you've got to do is basically just stop your cardio, maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which can stop certain things you're putting to speed your metabolism up.
Yeah.
And it's a natural way of carbon up without carbon up, isn't it? Because you're stopping them, but you're slowing the metabolism down naturally.
Exactly. Yeah. So what you have in there will do the job. Yeah.
Let's say Masoom was 193 pound on the Thursday. You know, if he does certain things and stops, his body's going to start adjusting anyhow and filling back out slowly anyhow without putting any extra grams of carbs in. If you put 500 grams of carbs in and your body's not used to them, this is how they're all getting the bloated stomach look, I think, because there's that much gas in the system.
If you're already at that low body fat and you introduce so many carbohydrates that your body isn't used to, absolutely you're going to get that bloat.
You're going to have more gas coming out of them than the Saudi fucking gas fields.
Yeah. You
know what I mean?
So Ian, tell us this then. So if Masoom accrues the points or wins a competition and qualifies for the Olympia this year, as it stands, he's not going to do it. Is that right?
He's not released passing until 2013. A lot of people are disappointed, but at the end of the day, we've showed them what he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll bring a better package into the British Grand Prix. He's even said he would do the Open Class in the Studio Classic.
Oh, good stuff.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean? To be honest with you, I personally think Flex Lewis would be best doing the Ronnie Rockell route and go up. I think Flex sitting at 230 pounds full He's a better physique than 215, 16 pound on stage. Flex doing a guest spot in Scotland, it's actually hanging off him. He isn't fast. He's just a bit portly.
Yeah.
You know, he's actually the muscle hanging off him.
Yeah,
so come down too far. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I can't see the feeding to be honest.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how that one goes. Well, Ian, if you make it to the Olympia this year, I do plan on attending myself, so we'll have to catch up and might meet up with you there.
I'll just book in the Venetian. I'll be there, boy. I'll be there.
Good stuff. Well, Ian, thanks very much for coming on to the show. If you have any contact info you want to give out to listeners, if they want to get in touch with you for any contest prep or your gym.
If anybody needs any, rather Facebook me, Ian Chambers, or ian.chambo@googlemail.com. And I'm also available for stand-up comedy.
Well, we'll go with the contest prep first off, and we might see later on. But
I'm not a bit of comic than I was a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Ian Chambers, live follow.
Alright, Ian Chambers, thank you very much for joining us here on Your Physique Radio. It's been a pleasure. Contact him through Facebook, guys, if you want to reach him, and we'll put a link to his page via our page, Your Physique Radio. Ian Chambers, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Alright, well guys, that was Ian Chambers. So Ian, again, we just want to thank you for taking the time to do the interview. We really appreciate it, and we will be touching back in with him in the coming months to see how Masum is doing and some of his other competitors as well. Alright guys, we're going to move on to our topic of the week then. It's going to be training splits, do's and don'ts. Craig, if you want to start off on this one and give us some info.
Alright, this is, I haven't got too much information on this, guys, because we're just going to go run it by myself and Colin and see how we both think about these things. But, well, it's like, when it comes to training splits, it's like do's and don'ts. It's like how long is a piece of string, really? Because there's so many splits you can do, you know. Some there's splits for getting lean, for working up, for strength, for powerlifting, you name it. There's a split for nearly everything. So I'm just gonna, from a personal point of view, right? So I'm a 5-day split. So that means that you're doing 5 days a week, or 5 days out of your 7, 2 days off. Just on a personal level, I keep back and legs as far apart as possible, and I keep chest and arms as far apart as possible. Like, just for example, I would do chest on Monday, I would do arms on a Thursday, and I would do legs on a Tuesday and back on a Friday. Now, the reason being is, if I do chest on a Monday, the soreness is pretty, I get pretty sore, and so on and so forth. So, if I were to do, say, triceps the next day after having a sore chest, there's no way I'd be able to do clutch grip bench presses or dips or Smith machine leans or something like that because of the soreness. So it doesn't make sense to have, say, triceps after chest. And if I do legs, same kind of thing, guys. If I do legs on a Tuesday, and then the next day I want to do deadlifts, I ain't doing deadlifts if I got sore legs. Forget about it. You know, it'll even be uncomfortable doing bent over rows and T-bar rows because your leg is in a slightly bent position and you're trying to hold the weight in that position, so it will be very uncomfortable. That's why I give it as much possible in between them, you know. There is a method to a proper split, guys. I mean, that's just my own, but that took me like lots of weeks of trial and error to get right for me. Now everyone might be different, you know. Like if I were to do a 3-day split, I'd do a day on, day off. Monday off, or Monday on, Tuesday off, Wednesday on, Thursday off, Friday on, and then 2 days off the weekend or something, if I were to do 3-day split. Plus, with the day on, day off, it gives you time to recuperate, it gives you maximum energy for your 3 days a week. Now, I see it in my gym as well, and I try and tell people about it, but they seem to do it anyway. A lot of people do a full body workout 3 or 4 days a week. Now, to me, that makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. They'll do squats, they'll do maybe deadlifts, do lat pull down, they'll do some dips, they'll do everything, shoulder presses, whatever, a whole lot. They could spend 2-3 hours in the gym and then come back the next day and repeat the exact same thing. You know, it makes no sense to me. And as mentioned before on a previous radio show, right? I think it was radio show number 3 we did. Muscle must be given something new, right? It has to be given something new, as in we're getting new weight, reps, speed of reps, etc., whatever, to get bigger and stronger. And when that happens, you get an action called DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. So if you're training 3 or 4 days a week, doing a full body, you're probably not training properly or not training hard enough. Because if you can train chest on Monday and you can train chest again on Tuesday, something wrong somewhere, and vice versa with legs and back and so on. That'll be just basically my training splits. But I mean, we could go on for ages about different splits and types of splits, but I think just for bodybuilding purposes, that's how, on a personal level, that's how I approach splits. How about you, Colin? What you got?
Yeah, without question, the two biggest ones you want to make sure is that you're not overtraining and you're not undertraining. So if you're trying to make the gains, you need to be going in consistently and doing your routine, but at the same time, you don't want to be, personally anyway, definitely if you're a natural trainer, you do not want to be doing biceps twice a week just because my t-shirts want to fit tight around my arm. You know, it's not gonna make a difference. You know, once a week, do them good, do them hard, go home, recuperate, rest, do the rest of your week, make sure you're doing a full routine, that your full body is getting it, that everything is nice and uniform, and that, you know, there's no outstanding body part. You need that symmetrical appeal, and then come back next week and start again. Definitely the one big thing that Craig mentioned there was legs and back. If you're training your legs properly and you're training your back properly, you absolutely will not be doing them day after day. So Monday and Tuesday, legs and back. You won't be able to do anything where you're bent over. Your hamstrings will be way too tight if it's from doing legs prior, or even doing deadlifts. If you're doing them properly, you're going to be a lot of leg work going to be working through there. Legs and back, if I could, I'd definitely go Monday, Thursday, or Monday, Friday, and try and keep them as far apart as possible. In between that, then again, you also got to, like Craig said, worry about if you're going to be training chest one day and tricep the next. You know, most people will do it on occasion, but most of the smarter guys or more experienced trainers will tend to separate them, again, at least 48 hours in between, so you're not doing them day after day. And then bicep and back, and if you're going to throw shoulders in there with a different body part, maybe with chest and shoulders, or shoulders and bicep and back and tricep. You know, it's the split. Most of all, you got to make sure that you're not overdoing one body part and underdoing another in return. Rest is absolutely the key. And like Craig said, if you're going into the gym 4 or 5 days a week and you're doing a full body routine, you might be helping your muscular endurance, but if you're looking for absolute strength or absolute power or absolute muscle size, you're not going to get to where you want to be. You know, you got to be smart about the training. Like I always said to people, that, you know, if you're playing sports and you continually try and do the same play over and over and over, eventually the opposition are going to wise up to it and they're going to stop you from doing it. Same thing with training. If you're doing the same routine over and over and over in the same order, back to back every day, your body's going to get wise to what you're up to, and it's going to stop you from making those gains and progressions in terms of strength and muscle size. Because let's face it, the reason you get sore is your body's way of telling you, I didn't like what you did to me yesterday, stop doing it. You know, that's why we sense pain, because your body doesn't want to go through that. Now, is it beneficial for the body in long term? Yes. But on the short term, your body doesn't want to do that. It tells you to stop by producing pain, or soreness, let's say, or DOMS. But, you know, don't train chest twice in a row. Don't train legs twice in a row. You know, a lot of athletes, let's say, who are practicing speed drills for sports, be it for soccer or football or American football here, you know, you're not going to do the same thing over and over and over and expect to get different results. You know, if you're not getting anywhere, if your progression is not there, it's your training or it's your food. It's one or the other. And most likely it's your food first and training second, but I guarantee there's not one single person out there who hasn't messed up in their lifetime. But to learn from their mistakes, learn from our mistakes, mine and Craig. You know, don't go in and train biceps 3 to 4 times a week thinking that you're going to get bigger arms. You're not. You know, they need the rest, they need the recovery. And again, you know, be wise about it. Don't train for 4 hours. You know, you read this crap in the magazines about guys doing legs for 4 hours, and, you know, it doesn't happen, right? I guarantee you it doesn't happen. I think people are just trying to outdo each other. Just like you hear the body weights, I was 285 off season and I cut down to 226. Like, no fucking way were you 285 in the off season. Like, it's
exactly, you didn't, like.
You know, and I used to find myself that when I'd stand on a scale, I'd try and add an extra kilo or an extra pound to try and round up to the next biggest number. If it was 185, I'd try and round up to 186, 187, just to kind of, I've made progression. But in reality, you haven't. You know, you're only lying to yourself, and nobody's going to benefit from that. So, apart from the training, train smart. Realise that if you're gaining body fat, it's probably diet. If you're not getting stronger, it's diet and training. But when it comes to training splits, don't overtrain, don't undertrain. Be wise about it. Body part at least once per week, not more than twice every 10 days, if you ask me. And keep the variety in there. And like Craig said, sequencing chest and tricep one after another is probably not a good idea. Just like back and legs. So be smart, be wise, and you will get the results.
And you know what? I just along the lines of if you're trying to train a few days a week the same muscle, if it's sore, guys, don't ever train a sore muscle. You'll end up going backwards. Think of this analogy the next time you think, oh, my chest is still a bit sore, why don't I do another session anyway, or arms, or whatever it is. Think of the analogy like a scab. If you have a scab on your hand, and you keep peeling off the scab before it's ready to fall, it's just going to bleed again and go back to square one. Keep going back to square one and back to square one. It'll never repair itself, and that's exactly how a muscle will work. Your body, like Colin mentioned, it's sore for a reason. It's telling you, we're not doing this anymore for a while. This is sore. Give us a break. Listen to your body, guys. It'll never, ever put you wrong, ever. So I just want to leave it on that, but that's well said, Colin, man. Good job.
Yeah, I definitely, like you said, that scab analogy, it's simple to the point, and some people can take that and understand what we're trying to say about being sore and moving on. And you have to allow your body time to heal. And a good training split will allow that. Sometimes you might be sore for an extra day or two than normal, and you might need to change your schedule around to match that. And do that, like Craig said, don't train back if your legs are still sore, because you're just going to keep affecting your legs, and you're going to lose out on your back workout. So in reality, you missed 2 good sessions that you could have had.
Yeah.
So you don't prolong the soreness any more than it has to be done. Hydrate, recuperate, feed, rest, and move on to the next body part the following day. And sequence them wisely. Write them down. Look at them on paper and say, well, could I be doing this better? I definitely think most people out there still probably make mistakes. Oh, it's Monday, it's chest day, or it's Friday night, I'm going to get a good pump in my arms before I go out, and all this kind of crap. It's that Friday night pump, lads, it doesn't work. It doesn't last. It's gone by the time you leave the showers, so don't even waste your time. Just like Craig said, train smart, eat smart, and you will get the results that follow along with that. Craig, that's basically it, to be fair. There's not much to it other than listening to your body, as you said, and once you do that, you should progress pretty well. And most people know if they're eating badly, most people know if they're training badly. If your intensity isn't there, just up it a notch and move on. But let's leave it at that, and we'll move on to our top 5s of the week. This week is going to be the top 5 supplements to maximise your training, so it kind of ties into what we were just talking about. So if you're looking to improve in your strength, your speed, your ability to run for a longer time to improve your endurance, these 5 supplements that we're going to mention now are pretty much the best 5 that you can get your hands on, over the counter at least. So Craig, if you want to run off number 1 on your list, not necessarily in any order, guys, just the top 5 overall. So Craig, what's number 1?
Yeah. Well, I start actually number 5 on my list.
All right.
And I probably have this in order, but it's pretty close anyway. But number 5, I had nitric oxide products. You might, a lot of you guys who take these, and people who don't, they might think it's quite a strange one, because none of these products actually help in muscle gain. None of them, guys. No matter what they tell you, gain strength by 2,000 million %. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't happen. But I think it's what they represent and what they want you to do, I think is why I put them in. Now, I could have put in multivitamins, I could have put in loads of other things, but this is why I picked it. And whatever your choice, Jack 3D, No Explode, Hemorrhage, No Shotgun, 1MR, Napalm, whatever it may be, you'll get a good feeling, right, from these. Some of them might give you a bit of a tingle, whatever, and it's kind of like, right, now it's time to train, So you're kind of probably a bit more serious. When after you take a nitric oxide product, a good one, you're probably not going to be up in the gym talking and shooting the shit, really. It's probably going to dial you in for a good training session, and just because of that, that's why I have it in at number 5. Now, I would say, guys, you're not going to take these products, do a bit of training, and you're going, oh yeah, the nitric oxide is making me huge. You'll never ever hear that sentence ever, guys. I promise you that. What have you got, Colin?
So I'm going to cover branched chain amino acids, or BCAAs. It's a very common supplement, especially for weight trainers and bodybuilders. Basically, branched chain amino acids improve your workout results. All right, there's 21 amino acids in the body, and 3 of them are referred to branched chain amino acids. Basically, they allow your muscles to recover. So like whey protein supplements, they drive the nutrients into the muscle. It allows the tissue to improve in terms of getting recovered faster, which allows you to train more often and sooner. So, the benefits of branched chain amino acids, there's no question they're going to replace some of the nutrients that you lost during the exercise itself. So if you're taking them beforehand, it will prevent the loss during, and if you take them after, it will restore the ones that you actually did lose while you were training. Absolutely, I think they should be in someone's supplement regimen on top of the standard protein, which will give you, some of this and some of that, but you want a higher dose, I believe, than the protein powders will give you by themselves. So if you're talking about 3 to 5 grams in the morning time and pre or post workout, or pre and post workout if you can afford it, at the same time, people want to save money, but you might spend 5 years trying to get to where you could in 3 years if you don't supplement right. So 2 years of your time, is that really going to make a difference between $40 or €40 at the end of the year and an extra tub of branched chain amino acids? So I definitely would be adding that to my top 5. Craig, what's your next one?
Yeah, I'd have BCAA in my top 5 as well, Colin, just to let you know. So, creatine monohydrate I have in there, okay? Now, creatine monohydrate, guys, is the most effective and scientifically proven bodybuilding supplement available. Hundreds of studies have been conducted on creatine mono, and they all conclude that creatine monohydrate improves explosive power, strength, muscle size, and increases weight. This is scientific studies. This is not hearsay or the company doing creatine study, whatever. Alright, this is an independent studies, guys. Creatine is 100% natural, 100%, guys. And I'm emphasizing this now because of the ignorant people who think that this is a steroid. People, believe me, into the gym, I have it on display up on the counter, and people are, creatine, oh my god, I can't believe you're selling creatine, as if I'm selling, steroids right there, actually with the needle and all. It's like, they just haven't a clue, to be honest.
Yep.
It's not a banned substance in any sport. What can it be? Or by any federation in the world, because it's 100% natural. Now, when creatine is taken, guys, it travels to the muscle cells via your blood. It's then converted into creatine phosphate. And creatine phosphate's role is to replenish the body's reserves of ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. The muscle's ultimate energy source, guys. So, explosive outbursts of energy, that kind of thing. Now, the science part of it, the moment you pick the weight up off the rack, your body calls on ATP stores to power the muscles. After 5 to 10 seconds, the energy from ATP has been used. Your body then turns to creatine phosphate, which is quickly converted to ATP to be used as energy. And this only takes a fraction of a second, guys. If the body does have an adequate amount of creatine phosphate available, it turns to glycogen. If it does not have enough, sorry, guys. The problem with glycogen is it takes much longer to convert into ATP, about 20 seconds, so more long-term duration training, not for bodybuilding. So if the muscles are completely saturated with creatine through supplementation with creatine monohydrate, more creatine phosphate will be available, resulting in more energy, increased rates, reps, and increased lean muscle growth. There's no side effects, guys, none, from supplementing with creatine monohydrate as have been recorded in any research. So there's no research, you won't find it on the net, you find it nowhere saying that there's side effects from creatine, guys. It's also an extremely cheap product. So you could get months, you could probably get 4 or 5 months worth of it for €25, if you're shopping right. And just a word of advice as well before I leave the creatine thing is look for creatine monohydrate, guys, with the Pure trademark. Okay, because that would mean it's a first or the top grade creatine made in either Germany or the USA. You can nearly, if it doesn't have the Pure on the tub that you're buying it on, you can nearly guarantee it's probably an import, the Japanese second or lower grade product. So just to let you know that, and if it's a lower grade creatine, it mightn't dissolve as well. You'll see that in the glass. If it doesn't dissolve in the glass, that's the way it's going to sit in your gut. And that's why people say, oh, you get cramps from creatine. No, you get cramps from cheap creatine. So that's a big thing there now. So that's creatine for me, Colin.
I'd just like to say something there on creatine. Like you said, it's the most researched supplement out there. It naturally occurs in the body. This is an artificial version of it, but absolutely, if you're not taking creatine already, it's definitely something I would recommend and Craig would recommend. And like you said, look, the side effects are zero if it's done correctly. And even if you do it wrong, look, a cramped stomach, it's not, like Craig said, it's because of the quality of the creatine that you're taking. It's something that generates naturally within your body already. You're just adding more to it. What I would like to say though is that if you read the side of a creatine tub, some of them will say, oh, there's a loading phase, there's this, there's that, whatever. But most of them forget to state that if you're using creatine, say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you stop using it Saturday and Sunday, your creatine levels are going to drop right back down to where they were. So I would definitely recommend continue using creatine on the weekend if you're not training, or on days that you don't generally train anyway, just to maintain those topped up levels of creatine, which will allow you to train a little bit harder and a little bit longer and get out those extra reps, be it on your max or your sub-maximal sets. If you don't keep it up over the days you're not training, you will still get some results, but you won't get as much as you could. Some people will recommend take it for 4 weeks, go off for a week, go back on, this and that. Personally, I've never seen any difference in terms of progression if I take a break. I've always just, it doesn't make a difference to me. So if I'm using it, I'm staying on it, and it's every day and it's twice a day. To me, my preferred times are going to be in the morning, and I will normally go about half an hour before I train as well, just to make sure that I am stored up, ready to go, and that's training in the evening best. With creatine, you do want to make sure you're hydrated. If you're not, it can't do its job. So basically creatine is going to suck water into the muscle and hydrate the muscles, which then allows the muscle cells to do their job and create ATP, and creatine phosphate then carries forwards, like Craig said, after the first 3, 4, 5 seconds of a burst of strength or speed. So do it right, get good quality stuff, and absolutely your training will improve. You will get stronger, you will get bigger. It's not just water retention, let's say. You get stronger, that will then build muscle. Definitely creatine should be on your shelf of supplements, let's say. With that, Craig, I'm going to go on and I'm going to go into glutamine. The reason I'm picking glutamine, a lot of protein powders will add it just because they know that's what people are looking for, and they also know that if glutamine is in their protein, it's probably going to give a better effect and people will continue to buy their product, and so on and so on. But basically what glutamine does, it slows down muscle tissue breakdown during high intensity exercise. And yes, strength training is high intensity exercise. If you don't think so, you haven't been training properly. You get under a bench and you do your set. If you're not tired by the end of your set, unless it was just your warm up, your training isn't where it should be. You should be coming out of breath regardless of breathing on every repetition. You will get tired, you will lose oxygen, and it's intense training. So with that, muscle is going to break down. Glutamine helps to prevent that from happening, and by helping that from happening, your muscle allows to get bigger and stronger, and from there on you lift more weights, and glutamine then again does its job again, stops the actual muscle from being broken down, and it's kind of a cycle from there on. So once you start using it, do expect some good results. They won't come very fast, but they will come. Definitely you want to be adding that to your nutrition plan. And glutamine, this is all scientific stuff. It's not just bro science. It's been shown to improve in the immune system. It's good for enhancing growth hormone levels. And muscle tissue require nitrogen to operate and to perform, and glutamine supplements are made up of quite a large portion of nitrogen, about 20% in fact. So it makes it one of the best suppliers of nitrogen for the muscle tissue. So you're doing a hell of a lot by taking in a small amount of glutamine for improving your performance and the capabilities you can do while at the gym. That's our fourth one. Then Craig, what's number 5 on the list?
Alright, well, has to be whey protein anyway. That's what I have.
Yeah, me too.
I presume you have the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'll just do a quick run through about whey, guys. I mean, it's probably something you know already, but just anyone who doesn't, I'll give a quick run through. So whey protein is the ultimate source of protein, guys. It's the highest quality of protein available. Whey protein is a rich source of branched-chain amino acids, something we touched on earlier, and it contains the highest known levels, and it contains a higher natural level than any natural food source. Whey protein is one of two types of protein that comes from milk, the other being casein protein. It's made during the process of cow's milk being turned into cheese. When the milk is being turned into cheese, the whey protein is a byproduct. There are two major types of whey protein concentrate and whey protein isolate. You kind of see these as WPC and WPI. Whey protein concentrate is low in fat, has a high biological value, and is typically about 75% pure protein by weight. Now, whey protein isolate, which is a bit more expensive, is whey in its purest form. Isolates are processed to remove fat and lactose, and typically whey protein isolate is about 90% plus pure protein by weight, so it's more beneficial, but it's also more expensive. Whey protein is far superior to all other forms of protein. It provides the body with the perfect amino acid profile for muscle building, strength and recovery. Bodybuilders and professional athletes also know the importance of using whey supplements to help increase size, strength, speed up recovery times. Right, whey is also fast digesting, guys, meaning it gets to where it's needed fast. Whey protein supplements play a huge role in post-workout nutrition when your body's in a catabolic state. It needs a fast injection of protein. On top of the muscle building and recovery benefits, whey protein also works as an antioxidant to boost your body's immune system. Scientific studies have shown that regular supplementation with whey promotes a strong immune system, and that's very important, guys. Remember, if you have a weak immune system, you're sick a lot, you have colds and flus, you're not in the gym training, which means you're not building muscle. So, some effects whey has obviously increased lean muscle mass, decreased recovery times, faster muscle repair, reduced post-workout muscle breakdown, and your increased metabolic rate. I presume you said you have whey as well, Colin, is that it?
Yeah, basically what I would like to say is in terms of whey protein, or protein in general, let's say, the majority, I would say 99% of the average Joes out there do not consume enough protein in their daily diet. So whether you're training or not, or whether you're playing sports or not, protein is absolutely the key in terms of correct body performance and function and a longer life and a healthier life. All of the rest of them can come or go, but if you don't have protein, you're going to die eventually. So make sure that even if you're listening to this and you're taking what you believe to be enough protein, but your parents aren't, or your brother or your sister or your kids or whoever it is, get them eating protein. The human being evolved on animal meats and animal fats. It didn't evolve on grains and nuts and plants and stuff, you know. We're hunter-gatherers, you know, we go out there and we hunt and we ate, and it was majority a meat source that we did, and that got us from being a small little fish, let's say, to evolve to being the human beings with the intelligence and intellect that we have now, and our abilities to solve problems. You know, we are where we are because of, in a huge part, the foods and stuff that we consume. And if we travelled from 65 million years ago, or whatever, how long ago it was, to be where we are now, and the majority, probably 99.999% of that was by eating food sources from animal product, why the hell would we change over to eating all plant-based products right now? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Cows, milk, whey protein, it's animal-based. Absolutely agree with it. The likes of your soy proteins and stuff like that, as much as people like to think it's natural, soy protein doesn't occur the way you see it. And just like tofu, one that was made from soy, tofu doesn't grow like that. You know, it's a processed food. People like to claim that it's natural. It's a processed food. So if you're going to take a processed piece of soy, of tofu, why not take some processed whey protein from milk? If you want to get your hands on any of those 5 supplements that we just mentioned, the best place to do so is going to be discountsupplements.ie. Remember that you will receive a 5% discount on your online orders when you enter the discount code YPR. Discountsupplements.ie, Ireland's premier online supplement store.
Alan, you mentioned to me a few days ago in a text about you watched a documentary, Fathead or something was called.
Yeah.
And it was very, very interesting to me, and I'm sure listeners want to hear about, just as you're mentioning there, about the food and what we should and shouldn't be eating.
Yeah, basically, this guy, a documentary filmmaker, let's say, went out and he's after seeing the Morgan Spurlock documentary, which is called Super Size Me, which everyone probably has seen, which is Morgan Spurlock spends a month eating McDonald's foods only, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He deliberately overeats, if you ask me, because anybody can count the calories, and he claimed, oh well, they don't have the calorie documentation here and there and whatever else. They did. Not in every store was it available, no, but look, you choose to eat what you eat. You're not dragged into the store to force down 5 Big Macs. If you order them, you order them. It's your own choice. So basically this new one then called Fathead is a guy going back and doing exactly the opposite that Morgan Spurlock did. He goes back and he actually starts a diet using McDonald's food only. Well, majority was McDonald's food. So breakfast, lunch and dinner, he goes in. He doesn't eat the fries, so he doesn't have much carbohydrate apart from the bun that's on his burgers. He started off at 206 pounds without any additional exercise than he normally was using. 1 month later, by consuming sub 2,000 calories, but more importantly, not eating very many carbohydrates, but high fat, he went down to 194, which is 12 pounds of weight loss. Now, what I would like to point out is a lot of people believe that it's a calorie in versus calorie out. His study clearly shows that that is not the case. If it was calorie in, calorie out, he should have only lost, according to his basal metabolic rate and the calories he consumed, he should have only lost 7 pounds in that month, but he indeed lost 12. And he and all of the experts that he interviewed for the show all basically said it's because of his lack of carbohydrates in the diet, due to carbohydrates releasing insulin. Insulin blocks fat from being used for energy. It's very interesting. I have to say, when you turn it on, it takes about 15-20 minutes to get over the fact that it's very cheaply made and the production value is pretty crap, to be very honest. But the information that's given to you it's definitely something anyone listening to this show would be interested in. So it's called Fathead. You'll find it on Netflix if you have Netflix, or if you search it on Google, I'm sure it'll pop up somewhere. It's about an hour and a half long, but it's definitely very interesting. And whether you're just an average Joe trying to lose some weight or you're a bodybuilder, it gives you an insight into what different foods do in your body if you're not already kind of sure about it. But if you're pro carbohydrate, you're probably going to think it's all a pile of crap. So even more so, watch it, and you'll see that the human being did not evolve eating carbohydrates. We evolved eating proteins and fats, and it's kind of the modern economy where the cheaper foods are carbohydrates, so we tend to consume much more of them now. But definitely something to watch. Fathead, you'll find it on Netflix or Google it will pop up. I definitely recommend that to you. Craig, absolutely, you want to watch that if you can before next week and get back to me and tell me what you thought about it.
Yeah, I'll search online now for it, man. Can I find it definitely for a watch?
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. Alright guys, this next segment is brought to you by Body Benefit Health and Fitness. Body Benefit Health and Fitness can be found on Facebook, and Body Benefit Health and Fitness is making fitness fun. This segment is questions and answers. Again, this week we have 2 questions. Craig, our first question comes from Phil in London. I'm going to read it out here and we can go on our opinions, and I think you've got the second question and we'll go from there. So Phil wants to know, do we think Dorian Yates made the sport of bodybuilding better or worse by taking the size game up a level? It wasn't so much Dorian that made the sport of bodybuilding better or worse. The judges judged, Dorian grew to match what the judges wanted, but I don't know if I necessarily like that the guys were getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Initially, I have to say, when I'd open the magazines, I'd be looking for the biggest guy I could find. But now I'm more symmetrical based. I prefer this tight, streamlined physiques, narrow waist, wide shoulders, big legs, no distended gut as we spoke about earlier, or at least keeping it on control during the competitions. I don't think we can blame Dorian either way. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually, exactly what you just said there, and I'd be in the camp of I would have liked to see him flexible, win Mr. Olympia. I would have liked to see Kevin LeBron definitely win Mr. Olympia, but it just didn't happen to be. It's unfortunate, it really is. But yeah, like you say, you can't really blame Dorian. It's like he beats what's in front of him first of all, and if he's too big, then I'm surely the judges will say, all right, you came second, you came third. Kevin LeBron wins because he's in better shape. That obviously didn't happen. So they wanted what they wanted, and Dorian gave them what they wanted. So my hat's off to Dorian. He was still a fantastic champion. But I think when you look what happened with Dorian, And then you got to look what happened with Ronnie Coleman, and then with Jay Cutler. Now Phil Heath has broken the mold a bit, so hopefully we might be heading in the right direction. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, you know. Well, I suppose your Dexter Jackson kind of actually broke the mold before Jay Cutler did.
Yeah.
So Dexter Jackson, like, is, I think, what bodybuilding is about, especially modern bodybuilding. You know, he's pretty much, I'd say, when he gets poses at his worst, he's still in good shape. You know.
You see,
that's my, like, I can't disagree with what you said, to be honest. I really can't.
Yeah, I remember when Dorian was in Limerick a couple of years back, and he did a seminar, and we asked him, I think it was actually one of our questions, we asked, you know, does he think bodybuilding should be judged on size or symmetry? And of course, I mean, Dorian, being the fact that he won on size, he said it's called bodybuilding for a reason, hence the bigger guy should win. But you know, there's a point of no return when you go with how big someone can get on their frame. Now, if a guy is 6'6" and he's 350 pounds, then fine. But if you're 5'9" and you're 300 pounds, 310 pounds, chances are your physique isn't going to be the most streamlined looking thing up there. Again, there's lots of guys listening right now who are going to disagree with us, and they're going to say, well, you know, that's just because I prefer a certain bodybuilder, or prefer a personality, or whatever it is. Again, it's my opinion. The judges obviously kind of flip-flop a little bit the last couple of years, like you said, Craig, with Dexter coming in and taking it over. Then it went back to Jay, and then it went to Phil Heath, and now we'll see come September if it's Phil or if it's anybody else. And you know, Kai Green is kind of in the middle there. He still has the nice lines and the large physique. He's probably competing in the high 260s, 270s, but he also has that distended gut. So if he can keep that in control, he's kind of the nice balance in between. But like you said, Phil Heath at the moment is the man to beat. Hopefully that's going to continue in terms of that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, I again, going back to the initial question, I don't think Dorian did anything wrong. I definitely think he upped the ante in terms of the intensity guys would have to train at, sheerly just to get bigger to match him. But I think the judges are the ones at the end of the day who have changed bodybuilding over the years. You know, the bodybuilders can only give what they can give, and if they win, it's because the judges said so.
And you know, just to go a little deeper into that answer, we really know if bodybuilding is starting to turn because of the 212. If Kevin English wins again, when you've likes of Flex Lewis there, and especially Masoom Butt.
Yeah.
You know, if Masoom Butt for me should be in the top 3 in the Mr. Olympia, not this year, but next year, he should be.
Yeah.
You know, if all things are equal. If Masoom Butt comes 10th or 11th because he's only 190 pounds, I'm afraid that's wrong.
Yeah.
They're judging physique. They're not judging. They're not standing on the scale up there, like, you know.
You see, that's it. You know, if you had two identical physiques, but one guy is taller and heavier than the smaller and lighter guy, but in proportion they're exactly the same, then fine. But if you've got a guy who's let's say he's 215 versus the guy who's 250, if the guy who's 215 has the same shape and structure, but it's just smaller and more crisp, I think he should take it over the guy who's bigger and not in as good a shape. But that doesn't tend to happen. But
no, it doesn't, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll see how September rolls around, and you know, like we said earlier with the judging here and the different shows, be it for NABA or RIBBF, you know, it takes time to kind of establish what the judges are looking for. Plus, one thing I would like to say in regards to the judging is the less competitions that they judge, the less consistent they can be. So if they've got a competition every week for 6 months in a row while they're in season, you know, they can start to create a basis. Well, this is what we're looking for, and keep going. But if you've got 2 or 3 shows on per year and the judges might change from show to show, it doesn't allow any consistency to follow or pattern.
Yeah.
So that could be one of the factors that's kind of playing on the RIBBF, which, you know, it's definitely hard for the judges to pick consistently when they might have 10 completely different guys in the lineup the following show, and you know, and who do you reward then? So you know, it's kind of hard. But again, look, it's something we'll just have to watch and see what happens. And
yeah,
you know, unless you sit down at the judges' table yourself and you realise that somebody's sacrifices are in your hands, whether it pays off or not, you know, that's where the pressure comes in. And maybe sometimes they just go what the they think the person next to them is going with instead of what they really believe. Who knows? But look, like we said, a couple of weeks' time we will have an IFBB official doing an interview with us, and no better man to ask than himself. And we should have a nice interview from that and some good feedback in terms of what bodybuilding is, or sorry, what the IFBB is looking for in terms of bodybuilding now and moving forward.
So question number 2 is from Rico in Barcelona, and he has in brackets, so please excuse my English, but the question came across perfectly, Rico, so thank you for the question. Glad to see that we have some Spanish listeners. So, right, his question is, how much is too much protein? Now, again, I would say for a bodybuilder, you're looking at a minimum of about 1 gram per pound of body weight. You see some labels on food and they say daily requirements 50 grams. Yeah. If you're a 60-pound kid, maybe, yeah. Other than that, no, it's not. You should be getting more protein. Like, if you're a bodybuilder, guys, if you're getting less than 1 gram per pound of body weight, there's something wrong. When you're dieting, I'd probably put that to 1.5 to 2 grams of protein on the body weight, because when you're dieting, you're going to be taking back the carbohydrates a lot. So you don't want to lose too much too soon. So you want to try and balance out that element there. And I would try and get as much protein from food sources as possible, guys, and use protein supplements as for what they were designed to do, to supplement your diet. I see a lot of young guys in my gym, and they're taking protein shakes to bump up their protein just because they're too lazy to make dinner, they're too lazy to eat eggs in the morning, they're too lazy to do this. It's a supplement. First and foremost, it'll cost you a fortune anyway. You're better off getting it from natural food. You know, plus the protein will last you longer because you don't have 1 or 2 shakes a day, so on and so forth. So, like, you shouldn't be, I would think you shouldn't be having more than 3 shakes a day. That's 3 single serving shakes a day. 2 would probably, for me, would be plenty. 1 mid-morning if you can't get in a natural food source, and definitely 1 post-training. So for me, that would be my answer. I couldn't go into it much deeper, but we kind of tipped on it as far as the top 5 supplements and why whey protein is so important. But if you're 200 pounds, we go, and you're only getting in 150, you're pretty much guaranteed you're not going to be gaining much muscle. So I would definitely stack a bit more protein in that diet. What do you think?
Yeah, most often it's under eating when it comes to protein. You can overdo it, like we've mentioned in the previous episode, but you know, most people out there definitely don't overdo protein. At least 1 gram, 1.5 grams. If again, I would start out with 1 gram. If you're not already doing 1 gram, I'd start there, and if you're making progress, great. If it starts to slow, then up it a little bit, maybe 1.25 grams, and you know, keep going up from there. But I wouldn't jump in to just do 1.5 unless you're already pretty close to that level anyway. But you know, space it out through the day as well. Don't just shoot down 200 grams of protein right before your workout and expect that to do the same job, because you know, your body can only absorb so much protein or nutrients in one sitting. So if you can space out those protein sources throughout the day, so you got breakfast, a snack, lunch, pre-workout, post-workout, and before you go to bed, which I think is a very important one, so that your muscle has got, you know, plenty of protein stores for the next 7 or 8 hours, whatever it may be, and then again replenish once you wake up in the morning time to make sure that you're maximising your gains and recovery. But yeah, Rico, it's firstly, thanks again for getting on and getting in touch with us, but unless you're at least 1 gram per pound, you're probably not going to get to where you want to be. So let us know, actually, get back in touch with us, tell us how many you currently are eating, and we can give you some more feedback on that through an email or through Facebook itself. Alright, well, that's question and answers finished for this week. If you have any questions, guys, get in touch with us. We'll give you our contact information up in a moment. But next week we'll be covering the Hartford Pro Show. We will do a review on that with competitor listings and results and our thoughts on 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th and so on. We'll be doing a preview of the Wings of Strength show, which is on July 6th and 7th. That is all categories that we're used to seeing on the IFBB stage except for bikini and men's physique. And currently we don't have a list for that, so we will have one come next week when we're airing again. and we'll have our top fives. Top five next week are going to be bodybuilding websites, so the ones to go towards if you're looking for information up to date. And some of you will probably have your own, so if you want to recommend a website we should mention or check out, please do so on our Facebook page. And Q&A will be back. So again, if you've got questions, get in touch with us. We will answer them on air. And if we need a follow-up, just let us know and we'll get back to you through email or through our Facebook page. Craig, if people want to contact us, what's the best way to go about it?
Okay guys, if you want to contact Colin, visit www.yourphysiquepersonaltraining.com. If you want to contact myself, it's www.facebook.com/Castlemaine Gym. If you want to contact the show, www.facebook.com/yourphysiqueradio, or you can email us on yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com, or you can follow us on our Twitter page at Physique Radio.
Alright guys, well with that then we come to the end of episode number 5 of Your Physique Radio. Thank you everybody from tuning in from the UK, Ireland, Slovakia, South Africa, Australia, Finland, and many more. Remember, it's your physique.
And it's your choice.